Hello and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name's Tim Murdoch. Shh.
You have cut me off many.
Because the movie's A Quiet Place.
Oh, but I haven't even. Can you wait till I say?
Okay.
Let's try it again. Okay, go.
Hello and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name's Tim Murdoch.
And my name is Matt Emmers. Shh. A Quiet Place. But this is day one. Not day two, Tim. You know what's funny? Before we even get into it.
You want to know what happens on day 69?
No, the movie took place over multiple days, so it wasn't just day one. That title is problematic.
You know what? I'm writing a letter now. I say,
write it. Hey,
dear director, your movie is more than one day.
Send it to John Krasinski, even though he didn't direct it. Send it to Michael Sarnowski. Say should be called day 1 through 4.
That's true.
You know what? Before we even get into that, happy July, Tim.
Happy July, Matt.
Hope you had a good July 4th. You know what? We have to mention on this episode because we forgot to mention it last month. We're bad gays because it happened during Pride Month, and we should have talked about this because this was so cool. Tim and I got to go to we attended a screening of the documentary Scream, Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. Where was it, Tim?
Warner Brothers, where I don't know if you've ever listened to our podcast. I used to work there.
If you didn't know that, you've probably never listened because Tim repeats it in at least every other episode.
Listen, that was a decade of my life.
I worked 11 years in Mattel. How often do I talk about that shit?
I can't help it if your previous jobs were boring.
So we went to Warner Brothers because we were invited by our friend Evan, who works there now currently, and he's like, hey, they're doing a Pride event, and not only showing this documentary, Mark Patton, who is the subject of the documentary, is speaking
of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, where he I said Freddy's Friends.
Freddy's Friends. I love Freddy's Friends. Yes, and he plays the I guess final
role.
boy. Yeah. And he also was in the movie Swallowed, which we reviewed a while ago.
Yeah, look at that episode.
Tons of male nudity in that movie. Not of Mark Patton, but of the young co-stars.
Right. That's not an easy viewing movie, but I still thought it was enjoyable.
So we went to this screening, and first off, if you have not seen Scream Queen, the documentary, it is really great. It's moving. It's informative. It goes over Mark Patton's career and how Nightmare 2 affected him and how, he got a lot of shit for basically the movie was written with gay undertones, but they for a while tried to blame his performance on it, and he became kind of a laughing stock of the series, and he disappeared from Hollywood a while.
It has a lot of different point of views. Like some people got the undertones, some people didn't, and then they interviewed the cast, the crew, the writers, the directors.
Yes, but it's really about like Mark Patton's career, how it affected him and his life, and it's very moving. And then he kind of comes back into the spotlight years later, goes to conventions and faces all this, and now has so much more pride in himself. He had to be in the closet back then, and he couldn't just be an out gay actor and couldn't talk about like the gayness of this movie. But anyway, the documentary is great.
It's on Tubi.
He was there with the filmmakers and the score and the composer, and they all were speaking about it, and it was just a great event. So I
had a wonderful time.
Thank you to Evan for taking us, and it was just cool that a Pride event. It was just a perfect horror Pride event. Yeah.
I agree 110%, and it was really nice to be back on
Warner Brothers. Hey Tim, tell me, did you work at Warner Brothers?
I did for a decade.
And what'd you do?
I was a security guard.
I still love that. I'm just thinking of like someone like threatening you. What would you do?
Run.
Run. So that was our big Pride Month activity. Did we anything else to finish off Pride Month?
Well, I don't know if I should even say this, but I went to go see The Exorcism by myself.
Oh, yes. And you said it sucked, right?
No, I mean, suck's a hard word to say.
Because you sucked hard. There's a lot of sexual stuff in that.
I know, it's not. No, but here, I went to the Vista Theater, which is owned by Quentin Tarantino.
And by the way, he's talking about the new movie called The Exorcism with Russell Crowe.
Yes.
Russell Crowe. Why do I feel like I'm saying his name wrong? Russell Crowe. Yeah, right?
Yeah. Is this your first time speaking English?
I think so. It's like that movie about how he gets possessed behind the scenes, and it's supposed to be like loosely based off of...
He's a down on his luck actor who Adam Goldberg is the director of this film, and he's like, I'm doing you a favor, you drunk.
But
like, it's like that.
I read an article that it's like loosely based on some of like the crazy shit that went on behind the scenes of the original Exorcist.
Yes,
no one got possessed like that, but
Russell Crowe gets possessed.
No, I'm saying
the original.
filming The Exorcist. Yes, obviously in this movie someone gets possessed.
No, I mean, it's an interesting film. I mean, I know it was critically panned. Is that what they say? Critically panned. I went to see
it was
this
beautifully
film.
shot. Tell us, Tim.
I can't say that. It's
oh my
dark.
God.
It has a look to it, but it's a dark look. I mean, I know the movie's called The Exorcism, so you're not going to get like bright colors.
How was Russell Crowe's performance?
He was fantastic. I thought he was fantastic, but the ending kind of fell short for me because it was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know either. I wanted to like it. Sam Worthington has a small little part in it, and it's just about his relationship with his daughter and how she is a PA on his film.
I'm bored.
I know it's tough, but here's the fun part for me. I saw that movie by myself. I was all by myself in the theater.
You were all by yourself in the theater, so I probably would have like lay across the seats.
Well, it was a quick running time.
I'm surprised you didn't take a nap.
Usually I am all about naps these days. I love a nap, but I stayed awake through the duration of the film. And, it was a nice theater and it's beautiful and it was air conditioned and I had popcorn. So I was very happy.
The bar is always high for Tim on a horror movie. Did he have snacks? Was it air conditioned? We're good.
I like to be comfortable. I don't like to sweat.
No, I mean, going to the movies in the summer is the best because they crank that air.
I mean, you could have hung meat in there.
Oh, was that cold?
It was that cold.
Wow.
And then the next night, I saw Pacific Heights and Single White Female by myself.
Double feature. Yeah, but there were people at that theater.
Yeah, there were people in that. That was actually a little crowded.
I told Tim,
you're like, I'm not going with you to see
No, I
these
did
films.
say I wasn't going, but not because I didn't like those films, because I was like exhausted. I'd worked late and there was, I don't know, other shit going on.
You don't have to do anything. You just sit there. Okay? Just
Tim's referring to the fact that I work from home. I can assure you I do a ton of work. No, but I mean,
all you had to do is keep your eyes open on that Bridget Fonda.
Oh, you mean at the theater?
Well, no, at my car.
Oh, I thought you meant in my job.
No.
I'm like, I just sit at my desk and keep my eyes open. Here's your paycheck. Thank you.
That's right.
No, I know a movie isn't physically exhausted, but I was mentally exhausted.
No, you're
too much
fine.
for Bridget Fonda and Jennifer Jason Leigh, especially when she throws that
I
dog
love
out the
myself
window.
Like this.
Oh my God, so many great lines in Single White Female. But we also reviewed that in a bonus episode.
Yeah,
and
check it out.
Well, you first got to become a patron, so you can sign up at patreon.com/happyhorrortime.
I love that movie.
And what else do you get as a patron, Tim?
You also get stickers.
You also get 2 bonus episodes a month, 1 after show. If you've noticed, we've been doing the after show.
That's right.
Where Tim and I talk dirty for 30 minutes.
Talk dirty after dark.
Okay, enough about that. Let's get into A Quiet Place. Okay, so to set the scene for people who don't know A Quiet Place, this is a prequel, and there have been 2 other movies that came out, A Quiet Place 1 and A Quiet Place 2.
Did I see everything with you? Did I see
think
1
we
and 2
saw
with
all
you?
of them.
Wow.
My biggest memory of seeing the first A Quiet Place, other than that I loved it, is being in the theater, and it was so quiet while watching that while I was eating popcorn, I felt like I had to quiet myself down because you could hear like...
I know. I was sitting next to you and I go, God. And
like,
the person next to me was like, who's that guy? And I was like, I don't know him.
You're like, I don't know her.
I said, I don't know. And I was like, I'm Mariah Carey.
So A Quiet Place, The Quiet Place Day 1, because what happens is in the original Quiet Place, you're already in this world where these alien creatures have taken over, and if you make a sound, they'll come out and kill you. But we never knew what happened at the beginning.
They can't see and they can't swim.
They can't, they definitely are afraid of water and they can't see. So, and that's, but the second they hear a sound, and remember the opening scene of the first Quiet Place where the kid has the toy and the toy goes off and he gets snatched up.
I'm going to say it now. I don't particularly care for either of the first and second film. I really like the one we saw, though. The one we're talking about.
I'm just
I loved
shocked that you didn't let. So,
I thought they were fine.
I love
They
the
were
first
good.
2 movies, and the reason I love them is because what A Quiet Place does so well, and then we'll get to this when we discuss the new one, but is it really is able to develop characters you truly care about. And I don't mean just like, okay, they're not one-dimensional. I mean like you really in The Quiet Place 1 and 2 get and really feel for this family dynamic. And again, not every horror movie makes you truly feel for the characters. And what was so brilliant to me is that, yes, it's this apocalyptic world.
Say it 5 times fast.
I cannot say it one time. With these alien creatures. And yes, there's action and all that. But like the core of the story in these first 2 is the family dynamic. And you're thinking, okay, A Quiet Place Day 1, it's going to be right when everything started. It's going to be a big disaster movie. And in many ways it is. But you still get such a great character and development between our two main characters.
I agree. And I like John. Oh, damn it.
Krasinski.
Thank you. And his wife, Emily Blunt.
Yes.
I really like, but they're almost like too famous.
I will say, when I first saw A Quiet Place, I was like, oh, wow, weird. A mainstream horror movie with two like big actors. But I don't know. I feel like that just gives more credibility to it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and he wrote the films, right?
And also, come on, Lupita Nyong'o's in this one. She's an Academy Award winning actress.
That's what I mean. I guess she is a huge star, but I don't watch Star Wars. So in my mind, I don't think she's a huge star.
Oh, well, come on. Us. She was in Jordan Peele's Us.
That's
she was
true.
in 12 Years a Slave, which she won the Oscar for, and I don't watch Star Wars either. In fact, I don't even think I knew she was in Star Wars until you said that.
I think she's in more than one. I mean, I know if anyone is a Star Wars fan listening to us, they probably hate us.
But I mean, well, yeah, I guess I was about to say, why are they listening because of Lupita? Or you can be a Star Wars fan and a horror fan.
I know,
in fact, I'm sure there's a ton of people that love both.
I feel guilty for not knowing Star Wars knowledge.
Well, then I'm just as bad as you. I don't know. It doesn't mean I don't respect Star Wars.
I think Star Wars fans are so like Star Trek fans. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Star Wars, Star Trek fans, and horror movie fans are very
the most dedicated.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
I just don't. It's just not my thing. But we've talked about like that kind of stuff isn't our thing. But anyway, so let's set up how this movie starts, because it doesn't start like right into it. Like the very opening of the scene, we're introduced to our main character Sam, who's played by Lupita Nyong'o, and it's really sad right from the start because she is living at a hospice because she has cancer.
Right, but she's with all old people.
And like there's a funny part at the beginning where like she's in like, I guess it's like a group therapy or something, and she's reading a poem she wrote, and it goes, "This place is shit, you're shit, he smells like shit." I loved that.
I did too. I thought her poem was really good. And I thought setting the tone for this movie, because when we went there was some kind of chaos in the theater because a film broke down and there was a fire alarm went off.
Yeah, our movie started late.
Like it started a good 40 minutes late, which I didn't mind. But also when I sat down to watch it in IMAX, I also had just like this weird feeling. Like,
what do you mean?
Like just like the alarm could possibly go off again.
Well, yeah, it was a weird thing. So just to set the scene, we were at, if you're in LA, the Grove, which is like the big famous mall, we were seeing the movie there, and there had just been a big fire alarm and they had evacuated everyone, even though nothing had happened. We came in right after that was done, but when we sat down, the alarm went off again, and they're like, oh wait, no, don't evacuate. They're like, but we need to restart the IMAX machine, which took like 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, and in addition, like we didn't get 30 minutes of trailers, which
it just started into the movie. So we did get and again, it starts in, and the first thing you see is this poor woman who has cancer, and you see a part where she has to, because she's basically in probably the final stages before dying, she has this like Band-Aid thing that
like
puts
patch.
pain through her skin. It's like a patch, pain medication, through her skin to help with the pain that she's facing from cancer. So already you're like, oh my God, this is a dire situation. But she does have kind of one friend at the hospice. It's the group leader. His name is Ruben. He's like a care worker. And he tells her, he says, hey, we're all going to go into New York for a show. Do you want to come with?
Yes, but I'm going to need some pizza.
She did say that. She was like, going to need some pizza. And I'm thinking like, yeah, like let her do whatever the fuck she wants.
I actually do not like when LA people and New York people talk about pizza. It is just like...
Oh, you mean like which one's better?
Yeah, like New York people are like,
I think that's more a New York, Chicago thing. Like, I don't think anyone is like, LA pizza's the best.
I don't think LA people are ever defending our pizza.
No.
But I think like it is always a conversation that I do not want to have.
Well, I think it's ridiculous because it's just like, do you like thin crust or thick crust? Like deep dish, basically. That's the difference between Chicago and New York.
Thick.
Yeah, I bet you do. And you like to go to movie theaters alone, you perv. What? Jim just screamed into the microphone. Anyway, okay, so they go into New York and they go to, I thought she was going to go to a Broadway show. No, they're going to a marionette show.
Which is a form of Broadway.
No. So there's a lot of kids there, and right away, People who know the Quiet Place universe will notice that in the theater there, they actually have a returning character from Quiet Place Part 2.
The cat?
No. He is Henry, who's played by Digimon Honsu. He's one of the guys that is on that island in Part 2, and he's there with his family. So it's just a little quick tie-in.
That connection together.
I put it together from the trailer because he's in the trailer too. And I also know these movies. I don't know. I like these movies. But so another depressing part while they're watching this marionette show, I don't know if you notice this, like they have this puppet moving and it blows up a balloon and then the balloon pops, and something about that really affects her, Sam.
No, you should also add that the marionette starts to go up, like it starts to fly.
Well, I mean, it's not like magic.
Well, but like obviously,
why are they flying?
No, but I mean, like it was
a cool effect.
It was for some reason. No, it did. She had an emotional response. I'm not like making it about me, but like for some reason, the music.
Well, also probably we were into the situation. We know that she's dying, and I don't know. I wanted to ask your opinion on this because I have my thoughts. Like, why? And this is so inconsequential to the movie as a whole, or maybe it isn't. I mean, that balloon popping shook her so much that she leaves the theater. And I'm thinking, is it almost like, in a way, it's like whatever, like it's like a signal of fun and joy ending?
Like time's up kind of thing?
Yeah, almost like that. That's what I got.
That's the way I took it. Because like when it did pop and she did have that reaction, I don't know why for this particular film, I was on the verge of crying like 4 times. It was
a very emotional
I don't
film.
know why.
Well, because again, she's in such a dire situation and you can tell that she just, like she just wants these last things in her life, like getting pizza. So she leaves the theater. And we're noticing around New York, there's a lot of cops around, there's things going on, and it looks like there's some commotion. And she finally goes and runs into her, the group leader, Ruben, and she's like, okay, we're going to get pizza. And he's like, no, we got to go, we got to leave the city, something's up. And she's like, no, we got to get pizza. And he's like, no, something's up. So he puts everyone on the bus, and then it looks like a meteor shower.
For some reason, though, all the older people go to the back of the bus to look, and she wasn't that into going into the back of the bus to look at it.
But then it's like suddenly there's all these explosions, and one is so close to the bus that like the bus almost, like all the glass in the bus explodes, and she gets thrown, it looks like, into the camera, and then you see the credits, Quiet Place Day 1.
Basically, all the old people on that bus
probably either got thrown and killed or injured. But remember, all of that happened, and then we get the title.
I thought that was a very effective.
It was, because didn't it almost feel like you could feel her hitting the camera? It's like, and then she gets thrown.
IMAX, and we did feel it. I mean, we felt it.
Yeah. So the title comes up, A Quiet Place Day 1, and then like suddenly she wakes up with like ash and stuff all over her face, and she starts to cough, and the guy from A Quiet Place Part 2 is like, shh, shh. And she remember, she's stunned. She doesn't know what's going on. And then she looks around. She's in the theater. Everyone is like taking cover and being told to be quiet.
Inside the theater. And it's amazing to me that meant, I mean, like, they caught on really quickly, like, don't make a sound.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really good on society. Like, okay, we're in this together. We have to be quiet.
But I just was like, you could feel the fear because everyone's confused. They don't know. And you're hearing helicopters outside telling people to like stay where they are. But then you hear creatures like destroying the helicopters. Like anything where there's sound, you're hearing the creatures do this. And at this point, I don't think she quite understands what's going on.
No,
right?
I don't think anyone quite. I think the only thing that they know is to be quiet.
Yeah, and then we have a scene though where they do go up to the roof and they're trying to look to see what's going on, and they see like it looks like tons of things have been destroyed. In fact, like jets are blowing up the bridges in New York. Now we know that that's so the creatures can't get from island to island because they're afraid of water. They can't swim. But then I hate laughing at this, but it was kind of funny. One guy, and this is how life would be,
was having a breakdown
and starts coming up and screaming like, we're gonna die, and the guy from A Quiet Place 2 is trying to quiet him down, and he won't shut up. So he finly he break his neck or hit him against the wall?
Right, like he either broke his neck or hit his head so hard against the wall, like he died, and it's like, it was a little shocking. Everyone watching was shocked. But I mean, they would have. You could. This is
I know what you're going to say.
Thing to say. You could have all 8 people on the roof die, or just
him.
kill
I
this
know.
guy.
Look, I'm just gonna say, and of course, it's easy to say this when you're not in the moment. Like, could they have just knocked him out? Like, did they have to kill him?
I think
I think it was an accident.
Yeah,
it just looked
like
the guy was trying to shut him up. He wouldn't shut up. He knew if this guy keeps talking, the creature's going to get them. And I think he hit his head against the wall, but so hard that he died.
It was a very effective scene, and I think it will be. I don't want to jump right to the ending and do a sum up, but I think it's a very classic scene.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. So we go back, they're kind of stuck in this theater and everything. And then finally, like, she's kind of talking with Ruben, who at this point is like her only main co-star, the care worker. And they're in like an area, and suddenly the power goes out and a generator turns on and is really loud, and we're like, oh shit. So Ruben runs to the generator and is able to turn it off, but what happens
as he's removing himself from the generator, his shirt gets caught and it tears, and I was like, oh, he's gonna pass.
And he turns to the side and the creature just gathers him up in a second.
They do that so well. They're really effective.
You know what I think was done?
But we have to go back just a little bit. Prior to him getting his death scene, he does come face to face with the creature, and it like literally is breathing on his face, alien style.
Yes, I forgot about that. There is a part when they're in the theater and like there's noises going on, and the creature
damn cat
comes in. Oh, yes. So we forgot about that. Oh, my God, we're forgetting little details. One thing about Sam that we're introduced to from the beginning is she has a pet cat, but it's not just like a normal cat. It's almost like her emotional support cat, because she brings it everywhere with her on a leash. She takes it into the city on a leash. Really adorable cat named Frodo, I guess it is.
When she steps away from the marionette show, she does go next door to buy a candy bar, and the guy's like, you can't bring your cat in here, and he's got a cat on the counter.
I know, and she's like, it's a support animal. But yes, the cat, of course, every time they're trying to get the cat, they do come or Ruben comes face to face with the creature, and I will say 100% remind me of Alien, because you see, and by the way, this is the closest you'll see of the creatures in any of the Quiet Place movies. In the first 2, you barely saw them.
Oh, really?
Not to this detail, but it opens its mouth and it has like a little mini head inside that comes out just like Alien.
It looks like Little Shop of Horrors, like 3 little heads.
3 little heads. See, I just thought it looked exactly like Alien, like when it's drooling and the little head comes out.
The
you know,
teeth are, what's that, like a Venus flytrap?
Oh yeah, a little bit like that.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, well,
that's what it is.
That's what it is, Tim.
Yeah,
like so yeah, he had already come face to face. But one thing I will say about this movie, I didn't even know till afterward. It's PG-13.
It's intense.
It's very intense, but if you think about it, it makes sense. You don't see a ton of blood. When the alien creatures snatch someone up, they're taken away so quickly that you never see them get mangled to death.
I think where it feels like an R is because the concept of like the end of the world is so huge.
And and just mass killings from
just like, it's like, I didn't want to get this deep on this movie, but it has do I go
to what it has?
It has like a 9/11 feel.
Well, I mean, it definitely. I was feeling a little 9/11 when the explosions were happening and all the ash was raining down, because like that's what happened near the World Trade Center. But it just has a very dark, end of the world, scary feel to it.
That's what I mean. Like as a 13-year-old, I of course I could handle it, but it would also be very emotional.
Yeah, and so now remember, Sam has just watched the care worker get snatched away, so she is terrified, but she decides, you know what? Fuck this. If it's the end of the world, I'm dying anyway. I'm going to go and get my pizza.
Right. She wants to get her pizza, and apparently that's where her and her father went, and so she wants to like have a very good
specific memory. Yeah, it was Patsy's Pizza. Her dad used to play the piano. She wants to go up there. So there's a scene which I felt very reminiscent of like The Walking Dead. I know you didn't really watch Walking Dead, but she goes outside and she's going to make her way up to Harlem to get pizza, and she sees there's like a mass walking of people, and they're kind of walking silently.
I thought this was very effective,
but what the director and the camera does so well is that it zooms in on little things that is making noises while these people are walking, like someone in a wheelchair, the wheels turning, someone bumping into another person, someone crunching on something, a shoe crunching on something.
They are all in potential, could lose their lives in seconds.
Exactly. And it's just a mass amount of people, like a mass exodus walking through the city. And of course, this creates enough noise that the aliens hear and they start attacking. And that's when we get one of the most intense scenes in the movie. It's like just mass people getting snatched up, cars getting thrown, people getting thrown.
Like, if you see this movie, see it in IMAX, see it on the big screen. Do not wait for streaming.
Yes,
like I can't stress enough. Like, I really liked this movie.
Oh, I mean, me too. But like, this was one of the most intense scenes because remember that opening scene. As soon as that explosion happens, she gets knocked out. We get taken out of it. But this scene, she has to hide under a car because the creatures are just tearing people apart, cars apart, everything.
Which it didn't really come into play. But like, the car falls on her ankle and she pulls herself up, but they don't ever really go back to the
She's
ankle.
probably in so much pain from the cancer.
That's true. I know.
Like, who even knows what she's felt? She's probably so high from pain medication.
They didn't really concentrate, which I'm happy about. I always hate in movies when someone has like a hurt leg and like
you have to see them limp the entire movie.
I'm like, she's like, listen.
Get it.
No, I mean, her predicament was terrible.
No, it was terrible. But I also thought, me being someone, I was trying to put myself in the situation, which is depressing as it is, if this was happening. And I will say, even though usually there's safety in numbers, this is one predicament where there is not safety in numbers. I don't care how silently you're walking. If 1,000 people are silently walking together, you're making noise. And that's what these people didn't understand.
Now, was this... Oh, yeah. Before this, she ran into two little kids underneath a water fountain and she gave them part of her candy bar.
She did. She was very nice. And I think these kids were smart enough to realize that aliens were...
She shooed them away.
She's like, hey, get away from me. She's like, well, no, she wanted to bring them into the group.
Right.
Because what she realizes is what this mass exodus was going towards. The people were trying to go to the water because there were boats that were taking people into the water to be safe from the creatures. But, New York is a huge island. You have to walk a long way to get to the water, to one of the rivers or something. But so she finally gets away from these people. And then we get this random switch to our new character who gets introduced, and that is Eric, who is played by Joseph Quinn, who I didn't even recognize that he was in Stranger Things season 4.
I gave up after season 1 of the Stranger Things.
You only watched season 1?
Yeah, that's it.
He played Eddie Munson in
Eddie
season...
Munster?
Not Eddie Munster, but Eddie Munson in season 4, which was like, he was part of like almost like the Dungeons and Dragons group. He was the leader of it.
He's an adult. Was he playing young?
He was playing an older teenager, but he had long hair. He looks totally different. But in this movie, we're introduced to him because he suddenly comes out of, like, the subway has been flooded, and he comes out gasping for air from a subway station.
And he's mesmerized by that little cat.
And he sees Frodo, the cat Sam's cat is kind of, separated from her, and he just starts following it, and the cat leads him to Sam. And at the beginning, Sam is just like, who is this guy? Get away.
When he came out of that water, he was making a lot of noise that I'm really surprised he wasn't
You know what I'll say about his performance, though, which I loved, is he looked terrified.
He was such a fantastic actor.
All I know is he just showed fear so well. He looked terrified.
I thought I read somewhere that he had anxiety, or like not anxiety, but he had
with
something.
The actor?
Yeah, not in real life. In the movie, like he was suffering from.
Well, he showed it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like he showed it really, really well.
He was just so good, like his anxiety, but like something about this cat is truly relaxing him. So the cat leads him to Sam, and at first she's trying to get him to go to where the evacuation point is, get away from her and stuff, but he doesn't want to. And he also realizes that she, is in pain and she needs pain medication. Her pain medication is worn off. And he also is so in shock that I think he just needs some company. So she lets him kind of follow her, and she goes to what we find out was her apartment, I guess, before she was in hospice.
Right, and it's raining, so they can talk a little bit.
Yes, and that was, I thought, a genius idea of the screenwriters, because here's the thing about these movies. You don't have a ton of dialogue because you can't fucking talk.
I think this was the big theme,
but
right?
what happens is they have a big rainstorm, and they break into her apartment because she no longer has a key. It was her old apartment. And they sit there, and they finally are able to talk because it's raining outside.
The creative thing that the movie and the writers did, John Krasinski, when the only way he could kick the door, he had to do it on the thunder. So yes. I thought that was so genius.
It was. There was a lightning and thunderstorm, and every time like a rumbling of thunder came is when he tried to kick the door, because again, like then they wouldn't be able to hear that noise dependent.
So it was all in the timing.
Yeah. So they have kind of an emotional discussion. That's when she does tell him about how she used to get pizza from this place with her dad and she wants to go there. And he's kind of like, I'll go with you. And
he revealed that he was studying to be a lawyer, right?
But he kind of did it only because his parents wanted him to. Yeah. Like he was kind of almost inferring, I'm not even supposed to be here, but he is. I think when the end of the world's happening, everyone questions their life choices.
Right. And I liked that he was so dedicated throughout the entire movie. He kept his tie on.
He did. And that's funny. And you know what I think, though, is like such a beautiful idea from the people who made this movie is that when you think about it, I'm going to get deep here for a sec. It was the end of the world for everyone now, but for Sam, she had already been preparing for the end of her world. She has cancer, so meaning I think the reason this isn't as shocking to her is because she's already preparing to die. Like she has cancer and she's just like in the last few whatever weeks or whatever of her life. So yes, she doesn't want to be killed by the aliens, but like this isn't new to her. Everyone else is like, oh my God, the world's ending kind of thing.
No, she was fearless, and it was a very interesting aspect to pick a character that starts off in hospice.
It is. But again, I think it's just because she had nothing to lose. She was already dying.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you get a character like that, like, where's this going to go?
Yeah,
I thought that
exactly.
was cool.
And it's like, if she survives, does she really survive because she still has cancer? Well, anyway, we do get an intense scene where, and this guy, such a nice guy, he realizes she needs his pain medication. She's in horrible pain. So he goes off on his own with the cat. Frodo goes with him to go to a pharmacy to get the pain medication she needs. But of course, there's like a run-in with the aliens. Well, and he almost finds a place where they all were like having their eggs. It reminded me of Aliens.
It was very Alien.
Because they're fertilizing eggs, right?
Were the two of them caught in the water?
Oh, I did forget. God, there was so much in this movie.
I know, there was a lot. Because there's no talking. It's just all action.
Yes. Before they get to the apartment, when they're traveling, they go down into a subway station. They're traveling there, but it's flooded. And for part of it,
they have to get in the water with that cat.
With the cat. And first they can stand. Then it gets so deep that they kind of have to swim. And a creature starts following them. But as soon as it gets underwater, it like drowns.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like the creature doesn't know how to like breathe
or
so
swim.
It just kind of dies.
It just dies. Yeah. But I mean, again, it shows us, okay, there's a weakness in these creatures. But yes, I forgot about that scene. That was intense.
To a hole, it was right in the middle of a church.
Yes, they go into a church.
Beautiful.
It was, and that's where she stays when he goes to get the pain medication. Good memory. It's like almost, but there was so much in this movie that it's like all melding together for me.
The only reason I remember that scene in particular is like, again, she was fearless, and he was like, she was like trying to shush him up. Yeah, like shush up, Kyle.
Shut up. she was holding his mouth close.
She was like, oh my God, you can't have a freak out right now because you'll get killed.
That's the thing. It's almost like a natural reaction, a human reaction when you're scared is to freak out, make noise, but
Scream.
It's literally will lead to your death in these movies.
Yeah.
So like she is able to calm him. But of course, him, and remember, he doesn't even know her, but he goes out to get this pain medication for her, very selfless, and he goes with the cat, and then he stumbles upon this area where some of the creatures are like fertilizing eggs.
I did like
this was scene, so Aliens. I'm sorry, it was so Aliens.
I didn't even mind the alien aspect, but this is where I was like, okay, I'm over the cat. Like for some reason, he has to go on top of this metal bar to get the cat, and I'm like, I was pissed.
Well, you also don't like cats.
I do like cats, but I don't know if I'd jump on top of a high beam.
I think he knew, again, this cat means everything to this woman. It's almost like literally if I can't bring the cat back, she's not going to want to live. But you're right, he risks his life in a lot of ways for her, for the cat. But there is another scene where we get the creature comes almost face to face with him. Now remember, the creatures can't see, so the creature you see it opens its mouth, and it almost looked like it's just like a bunch of how to describe this. It's almost like your inner ear and all of the weird shit reverberating through it. It's almost like their whole head has a bunch of like sound processing things. I can't even describe it, but it was freaky looking.
Yeah,
and
I mean, again, like I don't mind CGI. This was all CGI, right?
No, there's real aliens in the world. No, I know what you mean. It wasn't puppet. The close-ups could have been puppets, but I'm sure the details were CGI.
So this is the one film, if you've ever listened to our podcast, I don't like CGI. But for this, I was like, I'm okay with that.
But you know what? I will say there's some where some films, in fact, some films that don't even need it, where it's so obvious that CGI is being made. The only time I knew it was CGI was when the creatures were crawling up the buildings everywhere. That obviously was CGI.
That was effective. And then we saw that in the trailer clips. Like, I felt like I've seen this trailer for a year.
This trailer has been going for a long time. Yeah. So after he finally is able to escape this like face-to-face scenario with like the aliens lair or wherever they're breeding, he with the cat. And I will say it is miraculous that this cat never made one meow.
Yeah. Oh my God. For your lips waiting. To God's ears.
I was waiting. And look, we've talked about this before in films. I hate seeing animals get killed. And I was so like dreading. I'm like, oh my God, the cat's going to meow and get murdered. The cat's going to meow and get murdered. It didn't. But I really thought,
okay, this is movies PG-13. It's a big summer blockbuster. There is no way they're going to have a scene where the cat gets snatched up.
Well, see, I wish I had that kind of confidence because I was preparing myself for the cat. I just thought like, I don't know. Here's the thing. As the movie went on, I realized how essential the cat was to the plot. Then I was like, they're not going to kill the cat. But toward the beginning, I was like, what if the cat gets snatched away at the beginning?
I thought it's going to happen in the beginning if it's going to happen at all. But but then I was kind of, okay, again, I love this film, but I was kind of annoyed that the cat got a ridiculous amount of screen time. I was like, okay.
You know what? Cats deserve to be stars.
I know.
Too,
I like
Tim.
Sleepwalkers. Remember Sleepwalkers?
Of course.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun.
So he brings back the pain medication. It helps her because it literally goes through your skin right away. And they decide they're going to keep moving to this pizza place. So they get to Patsy's, and not only it looks like it's been destroyed, so they can't get pizza there. And she's so upset, but he goes to a different pizza place, gets pizza there, and then puts in marker on the box, Patsy's.
I thought that was totally cute.
Yeah. And they go into a bar. This is the bar that she was telling the story about that she used to go with her dad.
It hasn't been really touched.
The bar looks nice. They're able to have a drink.
Yeah.
It's quiet.
There's
nobody in there.
With a piano.
So they do have a little bit of an emotional scene. I'm thinking some people may have thought this was a little cheesy. I found it kind of moving.
I didn't mind.
He's trying to cheer her up, and he decides to do like a magic trick with cards. But of course he can't speak because they still have to be silent.
Right. And she wanted to play the piano, and I was like, don't play that piano.
Yeah, I know. She's kind of like fingering. No, not like that. Like, sorry, let me change my language. Running her fingers along the piano, but she can't play it. Tell me you weren't thinking she was accidentally going to hit a key.
Oh, of course I was. I was like,
I
actually thought, I was like, well, they're really building this.
I was like, she's going to hit a key. She's going to hit a key. What if she's like, goodness
gracious, great balls of fire.
What if she's like, hey, anybody want to do, what is that? Hearts and soul. No, heart.
Hot cross buns?
No, the duet. Heart and soul. And then the alien just snatches her up. Anyway.
And the movie's like, the end.
Sorry. Okay, so...
No, but I was emotionally attached to both.
It was, and you could tell it's like they formed this friendship in these last, like, awful days and stuff. So then they finally find an evacuation point near the river, and they try to get closer, and they see off into the water a boat full of humans, like survivors, because the creatures can't get through the water, but the creatures are all around. So Sam decides she is going to distract the creatures, and she wants Eric to run and jump into the water with the cat, basically to save them to go to the boat.
Okay, obviously they had a plan, but we as the viewer did not know the plan.
That's the thing I was going to say. I was really confused as to, because at first glance, when she goes to distract everyone, it's like she's sacrificing herself. He didn't get to say, no, don't do that. Like the plan happened without us even knowing.
I knew there was going to be a separation of these two characters when she gave him her... The cat. And
the book that she like writes poetry in.
And her sweater.
Yes, she does give the sweater.
And it was like a, kind of like a Lisa Rinna, like Swiffer sweater.
Swiffer? Oh, but you mean like long and flowy?
Yeah, like, if you ever watch Housewives, she sells them.
Oh, and Tim was not paid to say that. But I agree that the plan happened. Again, they can't really speak, but it kind of just happens, and he doesn't have a say in it, because I was thinking he would try to convince her to come with him. But I think she knew. I was actually
surprised he didn't.
I think she knew she probably didn't have the strength anymore to keep going, or she would slow him down. So she starts going, and I will say this is the one part that I was a little bit like suspension of disbelief. cracking windows in cars to set off car alarms. The creatures are following and everything, but they never snatch her up. Did you notice
no,
that? That was when I was like,
she kept making car alarms go off. Like she was literally
and moving.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. Like
I know.
I feel like the creatures wouldn't have gotten her, but every time a car alarm goes off, she moves to the next car. So while she's doing this distractions, he takes off running to the dock. And there's a big suspenseful scene
I'm getting goosebumps just you talking
because
about
the aliens are following him. Like there's a bunch of them. They're coming. He's running. He jumps off the dock right as they grab for him. It's very cinematic. But then, of course, they have to stop themselves. They can't go in the water. He lands in the water with the cat.
And cats hate water, Matt.
They hate water. But he gets up there, and then the people are able to get him onto the boat.
What a good show for all the people on the boat. They're like, oh my God, did you see that guy?
Imagine if they watched him and he got snatched and ripped
like,
apart.
Oh, damn.
Oh, he lost. So he just manages to jump outside of their reach, gets into the water, swims up to the boat, and they rescue him. And they're like, you're safe.
Right. And then he's laying there and holding the cat. And then he pulls out a little note from the sweater that she gave him. And it said like,
take care of my cat. Don't feed him too much. He'll get fat. What else did she say? It was something.
She said, don't forget I'm dating Joshua Jackson.
No, Tim found out that Lupita Nyong'o was dating Joshua. She's like, don't forget I'm dating Joshua Jackson. Bye.
She goes, I don't want to wait for Joshua Jackson.
And then she's like, shh.
And she goes, shh.
We're in a quiet place. Anyway, so it's kind of a sad moment. It's almost like this cat meant everything to her. She's trusting him with it. And she kind of is saying like, she wants him to live on, keep the cat alive, and keep the hope alive, basically. And then we get their last scene where she's kind of in pain. She's listening on headphones to the song by Nina Simone. It's feeling good.
Yeah, earlier in the film, she finds a jukebox that I guess is battery based.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and she's able to charge her iPod. But
and it's an old school iPod. It's like from 2005.
Oh yeah. But she's in the middle of like New York City, and then she unplugs the headphones so that the iPod starts playing the music loud. And then a creature drops down right behind her, and then credits. So meaning it's gonna kill her.
I liked the ending.
I love it. She's gonna die. No, but it was almost like she was at peace with what was gonna happen to her, whether it was the aliens that did it or the cancer, because she couldn't be treated anymore.
What a way to go.
It was a way to go. I would almost say, well, it depends on how bad the pain was, like, because would you really want to be ripped apart by an alien?
Well, it probably happens quick.
That's what I was thinking. One thing I wanted to ask him, and I asked Jacob this after the movie, like, we don't really know what the aliens do with these with the humans when they snatch them up. I guess they rip them apart. But do you notice, or do they eat them? Because there were never any dead bodies lying around.
I saw a couple scenes where there was like blood all over the cars.
That's the thing. So do we think they just rip people apart, or do they eat them?
Is there something in people that like they want like
Jeepers Creepers?
Yeah,
they eat them and then they become out with a new head. No, I don't know if I think it's just they're just attacking anything in their midst.
It's almost like a great white shark. It's a killing machine.
Yeah, I think it's like they're attacking this planet. They want to kill everything. It's like just get rid of everybody that's there. But again, since it's PG-13, you don't get a lot of violence and gore, which is totally fine. But you don't really know what happens to the people. I'm just assuming they get ripped apart.
Did you ever see the movie World War Z with Brad Pitt?
Yes, I did. Yes,
it kind of reminded me of that, just like the whole end of the world kind of thing.
Oh yeah, but I mean, now that we went through it, so all in all, like, just such a great movie.
I know, I really liked it. And maybe I guess if I go back and listen to our I was to say A Quiet Place
when
part 2, I wonder if I'm sure I liked it, but for some reason this film blew the other two out of the water for me. So I just liked it better.
I feel a little different. I feel like it was around just as good as the other two because I like the other two so much. What I will say this one had that the other two didn't, it had a ton more action because obviously we had everything that was, because it was day one. We had all the scenes of just like the mass destruction, that like Independence Day style annihilation scenes. But it also had so many heartfelt moments. Right. I mean, I was close to tears multiple times too.
I like the fact that they're two strangers coming together. I like the heartfelt moments more. For some reason, I found the family, I just don't want children in it.
Yeah. You hate children.
I do like children.
In films.
In films.
I agree though that you know what I also like that rarely happens, but sometimes now, when a guy and a girl come together in a movie and it's not romantic. Well, it's just a friendship. I
actually did think they were gonna kiss when they were in the church and he peeled off the little thing and like he put it on her.
But I'm glad he didn't, because that would have been so cheesy. Like, we don't need a romantic storyline. And also they only knew each other they just bonded. It's this like we don't have anyone else. It's the end of the world. We've bonded. We both like cats. That kind of thing. Like
even
they
annoying
bonded.
cats that put us in horrible situations,
but never meow.
Right.
The cat made it.
Thank God.
But
there was not one meow in the movie.
It really wasn't. But I mean, again, if the cat had meowed, the cat would be toast. Am I right, Tim?
And I want that cat to be toast.
I just really, really enjoyed this movie because it had everything that you would want from a movie. There was a ton of suspense. I found myself literally on the edge of my seat.
Same.
Not just a cliche. A lot of action. It definitely had the horror and the scares, and it had characters you truly loved, like you really cared about, especially these two main characters.
Absolutely, and even the guy that was like her hospice doctor. I mean, because there were literally only 3 main people in the film.
Yeah, they're actually, that's true, because other than the guy from A Quiet Place Part 2 who really had a small part.
His son turned around and looked at her cat.
Oh, can we talk about the parts that were in the trailer that weren't in the movie? Oh my God. So not just, there was a scene in one of the trailers where that generator goes off, but an old man goes and shuts it off and then gets taken away. That never happened.
I mean, we did see that trailer so many times. So
do you remember that part?
Yeah.
And then there was a scene where Dennis O'Hare from American Horror Story is sitting at a table with a few people, survivors, and they're talking about what to do or something. Totally not in the movie. Dennis O'Hare completely cut.
That's so interesting that they cut because everyone, if you saw a movie in the past year, you saw that trailer.
Oh, yeah. The only thing I can think is that, first off, the trailer came out so early that they were probably still finalizing the movie. I'm thinking that maybe they were like, we don't want to take away from the focus of our 2 main characters.
But the movie had a great running time at only 1 hour and 39 minutes.
That's probably why they were like, we don't want to be pushing it. And they probably were just like, we don't need to introduce these secondary characters.
How cool was it? Wow, I'm old.
Hey, Tim, how cool
was it? How cool is it? My voice is still changing. That on the red carpet for this movie, because I looked at the red carpet, it was just the 3 actors. Like, the movie's not, I mean, yes, it's a big Hollywood movie, it's a blockbuster, but like, it didn't have like huge stars.
But you know what? I mean, I think Lupita Nyong'o's a pretty big star.
No,
but
I mean, of course. I guess I forget
cast.
Because I haven't seen the 5 Star Wars films she's been in.
So she's a pretty big star, but the rest of them aren't as big. And I will say that I think because there are so many extras in this movie, like when it talks about,
it does have a big
actual people in this movie, there's hundreds, maybe thousands. I mean, the scenes in New York, it's packed. There's huge amounts of extras.
Does it?
But we only concentrate on 3 characters, mostly 2.
Did it make you think, I mean, obviously you had to think about this. Did it make you feel like, I'm so glad I don't live in the city like that?
Funny you say that, because Jacob and I, on our way home after watching it, were like, you know what, we're so glad that even in LA, we live kind of in the valley. So like, when if anything bad happens in the middle of a big city, you are just stuck. It's so congested. So even though we are on the outskirts of LA, we're in a residential area, but yes, we did talk about that, because being in New York during something like that would be terrifying. And it scares me that like my parents and my sister, brother-in-law, and nephew are right in New York.
Right.
So like
when anything, quiet.
I know, because when anything happens, my parents, though, I was thinking about this, they live right by the water at the bottom of the island. So they'd be first on that boat.
Oh, that's true. They'd be safe first.
But like, where would my sister and brother-in-law and nephew go? And there's so many people there. Like, what if you're quiet, but the person next to you is having a panic attack?
I would
You're
never
dead.
want to be near you during this time. You are loud.
First off, you'd run away in a second.
Exactly. I would leave you so fast. I'd be talking to rats in the cellar.
You heard it here. Tim would leave me.
I would, Matt, because you're loud. I love you, but you're loud.
Oh my God. I know how to keep quiet when I need to. Look, Tim, you're supposed to say, when's the last time you kept quiet for longer than 10 fucking seconds?
And you are loud.
Wow. Look, aliens. Look,
come get them. Come get them.
Tim would throw something at me to make a noise and run the other way.
He did it, and then eat them.
Eat them. Eat them.
Oh, remember
wow. Eat them? Well, I cannot recommend this movie enough. And like Tim said, see it in IMAX. Like, this is worth it. Even if the tickets are a few more dollars, IMAX is worth it.
$25.
I mean, we have the AMC A-Stubs thing.
But I did glance at that, and it said $25.
Yeah, but it's worth $25.
I totally agree.
Like, it is a big blockbuster level horror film, and you won't be discouraged. Like, again, it's heartfelt. There's suspense.
Again, I almost cried 4 times. Almost.
How many times?
4.
No, it's true. But like, I'm also looking forward to, I've heard that they are
day 2
currently working, because we already had day 1 through like 4. I've heard that they're currently working on a sequel to A Quiet Place Part 2. So it would continue that storyline, because I don't think they'd have a sequel to the prequel. I don't know.
I want a sequel to the prequel to the prequel to the sequel to the prequel to the sequel.
Wait, do it again.
Do the prequel.
No, I'm doing the beatbox. You're doing sequel.
I'm not good with singing.
Oh, forget it. The moment has gone.
The music, the moment.
They are doing a sequel to Part 2. So there will be more Quiet Place is what I'm trying to say.
I'm writing a sequel too.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called The Quiet Place Day 69.
And it's a story of you in a theater by yourself, you perv. Anyway, okay, we're going to end on that note. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Happy Horror Time.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. As a patron, you get access to all our bonus content, which now includes 2 new bonus episodes every month, a monthly after show mini episode, access to our Discord community so you can chat with us directly, and the chance to review a film with us in one of our bonus episodes.
Patrons also get all our regular episodes ad-free and a day early, our monthly newsletter, the chance to vote in polls, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.